This is Jesse from Punkanormal Activity. I'm here with Ben Sir from Worst Days Down. How you doing, Ben?
I'm doing very well. We was running late for our little chat here, and we just pulled off the highway pulling into Vancouver on, strangely, not a rainy day. So we're pretty excited. I mean, we're only here for the night, and then we got to be back on the road early tomorrow morning to get back to Edmonton. But you know, we're lucky. We've been to Vancouver a couple times in the last few months, and that's never a bad thing. So I'm in a great mood.
Nice. Yeah, the sun definitely helps, eh?
Oh, definitely. I used to live out here, and in some of these winter and spring months, like the rain didn't get to me as badly as it gets to some people, but it was one of the cool things I like about Vancouver is when you don't have a rainy day, people really make the most of it. Like it's a real urgent kick in the ass to get out there, enjoy the scenery, and enjoy the city.
Absolutely. All right, so do you mind introducing yourself and just letting us know what you do in the band?
Sure. My name is Ben Sir. I play guitar and sing in Worst Days Down. Worst Days Down started in 2011, just as a solo acoustic project of my own. The previous band of mine had broken up, and I knew that I wanted to continue playing music, but without having, a group of close friends to do so with. I just played acoustically until I figured I had the right group of people to do it with again. And when that all ended, I took a volunteer position down in Guatemala working with wildlife to try and figure out what the hell I was going to do with myself. And this was around the time, when, people were starting to do this whole acoustic punk thing. I was like, you know what, if that means I can still keep traveling and touring, I will do that, even though I don't think I was particularly good at it originally. And, and then in 2014, when I moved back to Edmonton, I had a group of guys, Kevin, who plays guitar, Murph, plays bass, and Jerome, who plays drums, and we kicked it off. Just in March, we released our first full band album called Elsewhere through Gunner Records over in Europe, and then our own little kind of label thing here in North America.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I was listening to Elsewhere for probably the last week or so.
Oh, thanks for taking the time, man.
No problem, man. Thanks for making great music.
I hope you enjoyed it.
I did.
Excellent.
So that answered actually a lot of questions there. That was a good one. Do you guys?
I kind of babble, so.
Do you guys have any interesting stories from the tour so far? Or?
Yeah, I mean, no shortage of them. We just got back from Europe like 2.5 weeks ago. We were over in Germany and Switzerland for 3 weeks, and that was really cool because I'd been over there previously. I played acoustically once before we did like a 5-week tour that was pretty gnarly. We did 33 shows in 32 days. The kind of hope was by doing that tour that would create full band opportunities. And thankfully, that created the relationship with Gunner Records. Gunner's a really awesome dude who has worked with some great bands like Gaslight Anthem and Red City Radio and Frank Turner and Pears. And so to have that chance, but to go over with your group of friends and for all of us to be, together in these cities that predate, our continent or at least our like modern civilization by, centuries is pretty mind-blowing. And, there's been silly and goofy stuff along the way and nights that we stayed up way too late, but even like, historically and culturally interesting things. Like we played in a place called Wiesbaden in Germany, and we're at this great venue, which is like an old slaughterhouse. But we're like, here we are having fun playing a punk rock show, but we're 20 feet away from, they have a memorial there for like the main train platform where they used to load up like, Jews and undesirables as the Nazi regime would regard them. So it's pretty like, on the one hand, yes, you're doing something interesting, fun, and, creatively stimulating, but also to have the backdrop of all this history of things that just remind us that how many things are so much bigger than ourselves was, really humbling. And just to have that opportunity to travel around like that is pretty mind-blowing for a couple of punk rock idiots from Edmonton, Alberta.
Sounds like a full spectrum experience.
It sure was, man. Like, it's interesting. Like, our bassist Murph, he's really into the Never-Ending Story, and in Munich there's this museum about the Never-Ending. It's kind of like their like small like Universal Studios tour, but it's only in German. So obviously we don't speak that. But the tour kind of culminates with you can ride Valkor at the end. And we didn't we didn't really have the time. So we show up and we're like, please, like he loves Valkor so much. Can we just go see him? And they very kindly gave us like a backlot tour, and to have a day start off with something so uplifting, but then later on in the day, we had an extra day in Munich, and this is before the show. Then a few of us ripped out because, it's really heavy but important to see. We went to Dachau, the concentration camp. So to have like a full variety day of like, riding Valkor and then,
that's dope.
Reading and go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying that's awesome. Actually, the Never-Ending Story is one of my favorite movies too. And I had a boss one time that looked just like Valkor.
Oh my God, that rules.
We made a snowman that was like a statue of him, and it was great times. I miss those days.
Oh man, well, if you ever go to Munich, I highly recommend going to, what was it called, the Munich Filmstadt. It's kind of like this backlot of old film stuff. It's really cool, and it was really cute too. Like, I mean, I guess if you can describe Murphy as like a 6'5", like bearded weirdo. That's cute. He didn't really have money for like this amulet. It's like the Never-Ending Story amulet. So I sneakily bought it for him, and that night when we were playing, halfway through the set, gave it to him, and he was just like so happy. I don't think I've ever seen him play that hard. As we just, it was really fulfilling. And I'll tell you what though, like being back in Canada, it definitely makes me. And I knew this going over there because like Europeans would be like, oh, I can't believe we have a 4-hour drive today. A 4-hour drive for us is nothing.
Yeah.
But now that we're back in Canada, we just did we overnighted it to Winnipeg, and then, we're out in Vancouver now, so we've been pulling 14-hour drives. I'm like, man, you know what? I could really go for some of those 3-hour European drives right about now.
Yeah, and you're in different countries instead of just maybe one province over, maybe.
Oh, it's crazy, man. Germany itself, I'm kind of a geography and history dork, but, Germany is 3/4 the size of Alberta, but has 82 million people, and Canada only has 36 million people. The distance we've driven from Winnipeg to Vancouver, we would have gone through pretty much the entirety of Western Europe already.
Yeah.
It's mental.
Do that. That's pretty cool, though.
No, I mean, it is interesting to see, we're really lucky as Canadians to have such space and variety of, climate types and environmental types. So, I feel like every culture has its benefits.
Yeah, you got the places on the outskirts are kind of on the ocean, and then you got where you guys are right now in some places in BC, it's kind of almost tropical, right?
Totally, man. I mean, it's pretty cool. One of the guys with us right now, he's actually never been to Vancouver. He's from New Brunswick, and it's important to remind ourselves, how lucky we are to do what we do, and to even know our way around Vancouver or have recognized landmarks here and there. It's such a insanely modern thing of just how easily we are connected to different spaces. And there's so much variety in Canada. And yes, it takes 1 million hours to get across the whole thing, but there's a lot to see and learn.
Absolutely. I'm glad you guys are getting to experience all that.
Me too, man.
Change the subject a little bit here, but you guys got any hobbies besides music?
Let's see here. Hobbies. Yes. Jerome, our drummer, is a very devout mechanic. He recently completed his apprenticeship. And it's kind of interesting being in Europe, too, because, while we're all being stunned by these, historical or timeline things, Jerome would just, he'd see some car that he's never seen, oh, my God. Or he'd be wondering, oh, where's all the trucks around here, So
yeah.
He's really into cars. Murph has taken to collecting Blu-rays, which he's very excited about. He talks about how he has a Blu-ray guy. Kevin, he finished school last year as well, and him and I actually, when I'm not gone, I actually operate a bar and music venue in Edmonton called the Buckingham. It's a vegan pub that, we're not a full-time venue, but we put on shows and we put on a lot of other stupid, silly events. And, it's really been cool because it allows us to, kind of on both sides, really engage with music communities and, obviously for me, punk rock communities. Not only do we are we lucky enough that we get to travel around and play shows, but we can also provide that kind of hospitality for bands when they're in town, or even if you're not playing our venue, we like to feed touring bands or do secret shows. Like we're like a 150 person pub, but we had like the Flatlanders guys just because they're old pals.
Nice.
Come in and play a secret set like a week and a half ago after they got off tour with Weezer, and like it's
That's
definitely
awesome.
a lot. It's go, but I like, especially when you coming back from places where people give you places to stay or feed you or just come out to your show, to be able to kind of reciprocate that hospitality back home. It feels good, to engage with music on, multiple levels.
That's awesome, man. That must be sweet hanging out with the guys from Flatliners.
Yeah, I'm really, really proud of them, like happy for those guys. I've done some touring with them in the past, like I've gone out as a stage tech, but we met a decade ago when, our bands had played at 20 people together. So to see them go on tour, opening for Weezer, playing for thousands of people, and just to see what, a beloved band they've become in, just super cool. So whenever they're through town or we get to cross paths, we're always really hungover the next day, but it's a great time.
That's awesome. I'm a huge fan of the Flatliners.
That's huge, man.
Managed to get Chris's autograph on the Do or Die album.
Oh, cool! Yeah.
Not Do or Die, sorry.
Destroy to Create.
Destroy to Create. Thank you very much.
Do or Die's a song on that. Yeah,
There's a song on the album, and that's also a Dropkick Murphys album, I believe.
I was actually just talking with Dropkick earlier today. We were just kind of talking about the, like the band. How old are you, out of curiosity?
I'm 30 years old.
Okay, I'm 32. So we got roughly the same kind of timelines. And I remember when Do or Die first came out, I'd never heard anything like that. And I was so into the Dropkick Murphys, and it's cool to see how they're still so huge. I mean, I don't listen to a ton of them anymore,
Yeah.
But it's fun to go back and especially touring in Canada where you have that time. Like, well, we still got 1,000 kilometers to drive. Well, let's listen to some old records. Let's dust off some old albums we don't hear much anymore. And Do or Die was one of them. So it was really fun, man.
Absolutely. And I was a bigger fan of I can't remember his name either, but the singer from Do or Die.
Oh yeah, Mike McColgan. Yeah.
Yeah, Mike McColgan. Now he's doing the Street Dogs, and they're doing really well too.
Yeah, man. When the Street Dogs first came out, that's when I was like, street punk was like my thing, and I still love street punk, but it's funny. We drove out to Vancouver. It was Flogging Molly, the Briggs, and the Street Dogs, and I was like 18, and we drove all the way out here just because I was so obsessed with that band.
Yeah, they're good. Yeah. So, we'll talk about the new album a little bit here.
Sure.
Well, first, do you have a favorite song off the album?
Ooh, interesting. I think, perhaps I will answer this in two ways. A lot of those songs were written by me when I was still playing acoustically, but with like having a full band in mind. So just to be able to like hear them record in that way was really exciting. But there's a few songs towards the end where we started writing more together. So the last song on the album, Entropy, is I think probably the one that we all get the most excited to play because it feels fresh. It's really energetic, and it's also a really fun way to end a set. Like the fact that it says like, goodbye and good night is kind of cool, like especially when we're playing to new crowds, to just be like end it on that way, to just be like, hey, good night everybody. I hope you dug it, and I hope we did our best playing for you. But it's also been really cool to there's quite a bit of, it's not like I set out intentionally to do it, but there's quite a bit of death on the record. And I guess the whole point of a lot of those songs is it's pretty like heavy and dark subject matter, but always with like, there's always hope and optimism in it. And it's really cool to be traveling around to cities. And the song about my friend David, who was killed by a car a few years ago, he played in this really awesome anarcho punk band called Energetic Action, and the whole ethos was live your life energetically and positively and engage with people around you positively. And I didn't want to write like a really slow song for it. I was like, man, I want to write an energetic, upbeat sounding song about him, because I feel like that's what
That's awesome.
he kind of represented to people, and it's been kind of cool playing shows of people coming up and talking to me about, hey, that song makes me think of this person that I knew that we lost, or this person that died, and it kind of like connects with people in that way, and that was not really intentional, but it's been a really cool byproduct of it. So those are definitely two of them up there for me that still, you know, we've been playing David's song for three years now, and it's you know, it's still hard sometimes, and it still makes me you know, it still makes me feel the same way that when it first happened.
I'm sure the emotion shows when you play live too.
Yeah, I can get pretty pissed off at times. Yeah.
This sounds to me like when you're saying the kind of the dark matter of album, but also the looking ahead to brighter days. It kind of embodies the band name, Worst Days Down.
It does, yes.
That's pretty cool too.
Yeah, man, that's really cool that you're the. There was one other person I've spoken with that brought that up, and they never really had discussed that with people, and it's actually kind of weird, man, because it comes very specifically from that place. Like it was, this all kind of came about in this whole project, which I would, you know, say came about in the darkest chapter of my life. I was very, very depressed and thinking about some really bad things, and the whole name was about, like, you know, not just like the worst is over, but like trying to make an active decision. And I know it's not always that easy sometimes, but trying to make an active choice of, like, you know what, I'm going to work past this, and we're going to, you know, do this thing, try to push positively beyond it and do our very best to work through it. And
right.
that was the point. Maybe that sounds really self-indulgent.
But not at all.
Oh, good. Well, that's great to hear. But
to me, anyways, I mean, everyone has their own opinion, but to me, you're trying to put out a positive message by letting people know that, you know, beyond the dark clouds, the sun is still there.
That's right, man. And, you know, that can be really difficult, and I can certainly relate to that, and that can be really difficult to remember. But, yeah, and again, not intentional, but I kind of realized the connecting thread with all those songs on that album was that it is, and maybe that's just the whole way of what I've always found in punk rock, is acknowledging, you know, the hard things and the dark things, and trying to find the positivity and good in it, you know. And, you know, if there is positivity to be found in, like, you know, losing friends and loved ones and stuff like that, is perhaps connecting with other people and continuing to talk about them and their impact and their legacy and stuff. You know, I feel really good about it, especially when I can see, like, David's parents, and, like, I can, you know, relate to them that, hey, like, you know, we're still, you know, your son is still very much, you know, in the conversation, or, you know, some of the songs about my grandparents too. Like, it's cool to be able to. It's hard sometimes. Like, if my dad comes out to a show, which isn't that often, I was like, crap. Like, I think this is going to be rough. But, you know, it's cool to be able to connect with other people about that too. That's a very natural part of life, is losing your grandparents. And I never really set out to write a song about that, but it feels good to talk about.
It's as an artist, that's how you get it off your chest. You write about it and you sing about it, and also at the same time you're acknowledging their existence and celebrating their life. So, you know, there's nothing. It's a good thing to do.
Absolutely, I agree, and thank you very much for saying that.
No problem, man.
I'm slowly learning, you know. I think every now and again we can write a decent little tune.
I agree 100%.
Wait, convincing one person at a time.
So I got one more question. Is your last name, is that actually your surname?
It is. I've had to. I know.
I'm sure you've heard that before, eh?
I have, but I totally understand. It's the one thing I've ever been able to be cocky about in my life, is that I know I have a sweet last name, and I don't know. I think it's kind of in that typical, like, you know, immigrant experience of coming over to North America, because we can't really figure out exactly where it came from. So I'm sure Sir is like an abbreviation of some other old European name or something like that. But it's it's cool. It's definitely something that, you know, stands out. And at times I've worried in music that people are going to be like, oh man, did he just like apply that to himself? Because believe me, it sounds much more dignified than I deserve. And yeah, there are no shortage of puns and plays on it that I've heard throughout growing up. Like, oh, if I was a knight in England, you'd be sir. And I'm like, you know what? You are very correct. But I don't suspect the Queen will be knighting me anytime soon for my many acts of depravity and the general unglamorous life of playing in a low-level punk rock band. So,
well, anything's possible. Maybe in another couple decades or something.
There you go, man. Here you are. You're inspiring me. All right, new goal, knighthood.
Okay, I'm getting knighted.
Yeah. I just wanted to put out some albums and play in some venues, but now I'm shooting for the stars.
As long as you get knighted, though, not united. I heard that airline sucks. We actually dedicated our last show to United.
Nice. Yeah, when are you guys playing next?
Oh, we're playing May 21st at Cafe Decuff in Ottawa here.
I have played Cafe Decuff before. I had a great night there. We had a friend, a really old friend who lived in Edmonton for some time. He's been back in Ottawa for probably 7 years, and he used to work at this barbershop called House of Barons or whatever.
Okay.
And he set up, this was right when I was just doing acoustic, and they set up a show, and it was them. Like, it's not like we had fans or anything out there. It's just them gathering their friends, and they put on the show for us at Cafe Decuff, and we made a lot of really good friends that night that I still keep in touch with. So very, very fun memories of Ottawa, and it's cool doing the little trek out to Pouzza because Ottawa's the natural last step before that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you coming to Pouzza this year, man?
I believe I am. Yes.
Fucking A, man. Well, I got to
leave on Sunday because Sunday actually is the 21st, so I got to leave kind of early on Sunday, but I will be there.
Nice. Well, we play Sunday night, so you will be playing back home, but it would be lovely, especially for being late. I feel like I owe you a beer or a coffee, and it'd be awesome to be able to give you a record and shake your hand and say thank you for the conversation.
Absolutely.
Man.
Well, you're coming to Ottawa, right? So. Yeah.
Well, I'll. You know what? Can you text me your email address and I'll send you mine because I'd love to hear if you guys, if you guys got some demos or something like that. I'd love to hear the band.
Yeah. The only thing we have is live music, but if you type in the Fly Downs, it's the only thing you'll find. It's like there's nothing else like it, so it comes up right away. Even though we've done nothing, but not nothing, but almost nothing. Well, especially with, as I mentioned before, these long-hour drives, I am constantly looking for new music, and we were playing with 2 other Canadian bands in Europe this last trip, which was cool to be with our friends. It was great. But the one kind of downside was I wish we would have been playing with a different local band every night because I would love to have just heard some new German bands. And so next time we're not going back until January, unfortunately. Too bad you didn't get to meet up with Straight Line. Yeah. Like anything, is so I'm hopeful to hear, anytime I got a chance to hear new bands, man, I'm all about it. Me too, man. I love music, and I love the fact that good music is always coming out, and it's, it'll always be here. Well, here, let's make a little plan here for Pouzza, because I have a 3-fold Pouzza attack plan. There's certain bands that obviously I just won't be missing, like Iron Cheek and the Flatliners, because I have to. And then there's other bands that are obviously friends bands that I love that I want to support. But every day I want to at least twice go to a show of a band I've never heard before, just to, hear about new stuff. So if you're down on some musical experimentation, man, let me know and we can link up in good old Montreal. For sure, and maybe I could even borrow a digital camera and interview a couple of them. Oh man, that'd be sweet. I mean, especially for smaller bands at Pouzza where, you don't have anybody guaranteed to come see you. That kind of enthusiasm and interaction goes so far. Have you heard of Boss's Daughter? I saw the name, but I haven't listened to them before. I love those guys. I've been listening for the last 6 months probably. Yeah. And I was asking him when he's coming to Canada, and he said he's coming to Pouzza Fest, so I checked it out. I was like, oh shit, we go to Pouzza Fest. But yeah, I would recommend them. Check them out. They got some pretty cool music, man. I will do. Another person recommended. I'd never heard of them before. A band called Snacks, and I think they're from London, Ontario. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll check it out. And
I've been listening to them nonstop. So if there's,
Awesome. How do you spell that?
Snacks. So like quite literal, SNACKS.
Okay.
Yeah, they were kind of like, I just had been talking about Iron Sheik, and the person I was speaking with was like, oh, if you like Iron Sheik, check out Snacks. And I was like, yeah, okay, that's kind of a weird name for a band, but sure, why not? And sure enough, checked them out, and they're awesome. So what's cool about it, like, a week ago when I saw the Pouzza Fest lineup, I was like, it may not have leapt out at me, but now it's got a big circle around it, and it's cool how easy it is sometimes to discover new music,
Absolutely. You're just like, holy, how did I not know about this?
Exactly.
That's how I felt when I found you guys. I was like, it's awesome being with Punkanormal activity because you hear new music all the time, and it's just baffling how much of it there is out there that you're not even aware of.
Totally.
All right, well, I guess we'll kind of finish it off here, but
sure.
Is there any other projects that you'd like your fans to know about?
Like in regards to
for you or any of the band members?
Yeah, well, I
art or painting.
I play in a hardcore band as well called E-Town Beatdown. My drummer and our bassist, they also play in a band called Audio Rocketry, who are really good. Our other guitarist, he plays in a band called Fire Next Time, and I don't know, I feel like Edmonton has like a very diverse and supportive scene, and now that we've all been kind of working at it for several years together, it's cool to see us all getting more opportunities to rip around.
Well, I'll get the links from you for those, and I'll put them underneath the video as well.
That sounds great, man. Well, it sounds like we're going to zip down to the venue right now, and then, get ready for showtime here. But thanks so much for taking the time to talk with me, man.
No problem. Thank you, guys. It was great talking to you, Ben, and I'm sure you guys are going to do great tonight. I wish I was there.
Oh, man. Well, we'll see you in a couple weeks in Montreal, all right, bud?
Sounds good, man. Have yourself a great night.
Yeah, you too. Take care.